and the Architects Alliance. The Interior Designers Association of Kenya, the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya, and the Architects Alliance jointly reject the Architectural and Quantity Surveying Practitioners Bill 2026 in its present form. We are not opposing regulation. We are demanding better regulation. The bill is titled around architecture and quality surveying, yet it seeks to regulate architects, quantity surveyors, interior designers, landscape architects, construction project managers, and technicians through one board. These are distinct professions with different bodies of knowledge, education system, competencies, scope of practice, and professional responsibilities. Our concern is simple. One profession should not effectively regulate another profession. Representation by a single member on a broad board is not the same as meaningful professional self-regulation. The bill also leaves critical matters such as scope of practice, professional fees, education standards, examinations, licensing, and discipline to a regulatory structure that may not sufficiently reflect the specialist competence of each profession. This risks professional conflict, duplication, uncertainty, and weakened public protection. Kenya has already undertaken substantial research on the regulation of built environment professions through the Coalition of Built Environment Professions, including the work associated with Professor Alfred Omenya. That research and the earlier built environment professions proposals should be reviewed before Parliament proceeds with a narrower regulatory model. We therefore call the Parliament to suspend the bill in its current form, review the previous built environment professions research and proposals, convene an inclusive national stakeholder process, define clear scope of practice and professional responsibilities, develop a comprehensive built environment professions framework with strong profession-specific regulatory structure. We also call on the immediate resignation of the chair of the Departmental Committee on Housing, Planning, Urban Planning and Public Works, Honorable Joseph Keitanui, who is also the sponsor of this bill, for conflict of interest. This is not a fight between professions. It is about getting regulation right. Kenya needs coordinated regulation, professional autonomy, clear accountability, and public protection, not professional hierarchy. Let us not legislate for yesterday's industry, construction industry. Let us legislate for the Kenya we are building tomorrow. We therefore demand that the undersigned associations respectfully demand the following to the National Assembly. Reject the Architectural and Quantity Surveying Practitioners Bill 2026 in its present form. Refer the proposed regulatory reforms for comprehensive stakeholder review. Cause the previous research and policy proposals on built environment professional regulation to be formally considered, and initiate an inclusive process towards comprehensive legislation for the regulation and coordination of Kenya's built environment profession. Thank you.
Your duty is to educate the public on what happens. And being custodians of the built environment, us as architects are very concerned about what is happening. A bill, by its status, should go out there and protect public safety. And the government is therefore mandated to protect the public. We have seen all these problems of buildings collapsing, and a lot of issues around what is happening in the industry. We've seen how our urban areas are degenerating, and we have been at the forefront for many, many years, trying to make sure that the status quo is changed. Now, our regulator, I'll speak for the regulator for the architects and quantity surveyors, it is called the Borax, was formed in 1934. Since then, the laws have changed twice. There's small changes. And something which was formed in 1934, you can imagine there was no profession which was called construction managers. There was no profession which was, there were no interior designers then. And we have evolved. So what we are asking and what we have been trying to build upon is a regime, a legislative regime, then that takes cognizance of all these people who are coming up, and these are our children, so that they have a much better future. Now, my first statement is as follows, that the government is not a player in the engagement. It is a referee. Now, when the referee decides to come in and play the game of football, then you have a problem. And we know that this is not a problem which has been originated from the government itself. This is a problem that has originated from the fact that some individuals have seen that they were becoming obsolete. We have, whenever you are engaging somebody, and how the Constitution of Kenya was framed, is that the assumption is that the custodian, when you go to a church, you assume that the priest is the one who is going to regulate on issues concerning your religion. But what happens if the Pope becomes a Buddhist? Do you all now go and change? So the regulator has gone rogue. The regulator has decided on their own. They do not, we do not know whether they are parastatal because they do not publish accounts. We do not know what they are, but they have gone completely rogue, and they are now coming and putting a bill that will even kill the professional associations. We do not understand, for example, why we have had, for the past 10 years or so, there was a very good research paper which was carried out by Professor Omenya, which detailed how the built environment professionals should come in. And thereupon there was a bill which was sponsored by my president, Senator Kasanga, then, to make sure that we had a very good regime. It was a very good bill. Now, these people who have come in have purported to build upon this bill, but instead what they are doing is just saving their jobs. And I want to say it again. They are messing with people's lives. These are livelihoods that we have worked so hard. And we get very frustrated when some person who is working in some government operative comes and decides that they are going to take over things which have taken us so long to try and make sure that they are working. So we looked at this thing, and it has been clothed. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Number one, it will kill all the professional associations. Number two, it will take us back to the 1960s, where we had only one profession. And for us, that is why we are saying that we are going to reject it in its entirety. And number two, we have made submissions. We sat with the Housing Committee in Parliament on on the bills for the quantity surveyors, on the bills for the architects, and even the bills like for the affordable housing. And they have come now and sponsored a bill that completely negates very, very many years of hard work in trying to make sure that things work properly. For this reason, we completely reject this bill in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. George Washington Karani, and I'm the president of the Interior Designers Association of Kenya. Yeah, and when I say interior design, I think most people, this is one of the professions that is very misunderstood, not just in Kenya, but in Africa and the world over. Because most times when you say interior design, everybody thinks decoration. Yeah, there is a difference between decorating a cake and baking a cake. Baking a cake requires a process, and then decoration does not require a process, and therefore interior design is the process. All of us spend our entire day in interior spaces, whether you call it a workplace, your house, you've gone for your own leisure, wherever you go. Even right now we are in an interior space, meaning your health is an important aspect when it comes to interiors. Your safety is an important aspect. General welfare, everything, how the spaces function. Basically, human beings and the activities that human beings do are supported by interiors. And therefore, we cannot purport to say that interior design is a profession under another profession. Interior design is a mature profession that requires its own specific regulator, and therefore we cannot be put under the Architectural and Surveying Act of 2026, and that's why we're saying today as a team that we reject fully this particular bill that has been brought out about by, let me say, Borax and the committee that is concerned. Construction management is a full and mature profession. When we come to landscape architecture, it's a full and mature profession, and therefore we require respect. We are saying that we cannot allow one individual. You say that you've taken one interior designer in a board representing so many interior designers in Kenya. One person cannot do anything. So that's why it's important for us to have profession-specific boards. And then we can have the Built Environment Council for the entire country, which maybe deals with policy making, all those things, but we need specifics. I heard somebody saying that interior designers are like decorators because there is no university that is offering interior design. That person should research very well. I am an interior designer. I did undergraduate in interior design, I did masters, and I did PhD in interior designers. Universities here in Kenya, not outside Kenya. So nobody can purport to say that there is no university offering interior design, or there is no university offering construction management in Kenya, and therefore we are supposed to be subordinates of other professions. That one we reject with everything within ourselves, and we cannot accept. And that's why together we are still saying as profession, and it's good to have even the Architects Alliance with us. The bill is architectural, so you expect the Architects Alliance to do what? To be happy with the bill, isn't it? But he's here saying the architects also reject this particular bill. We do not want a bill that is meant for self-preservation. I know the current board at Borax, and this one I'll repeat, they are not doing this for the betterment of the built environment. They are doing it for their own self-preservation. And that's why we are rejecting, because the bill says that they will automatically become the next board. As much as they will add, the single members from construction management, from landscape, and from interior design. So it's a matter of self-preservation, and it's not something that is best for this country. For us, we are not standing here for our professions, but we are standing here for Kenyans who need to live in safe spaces, who need to live in spaces that promote their health, who need to live in spaces that work and spaces that support the daily living of our lives, including persons with disabilities. Yeah, so as a team, built environment professionals in this country, we say in one accord that we reject the Architectural and Quantity Surveying Practitioners Bill of 2026. Thank you.
First of all, I want to urge you to look at this bill. Because sometimes when we speak, it can look partisan, it can look we are protecting, we are gatekeeping. But if you're a student of this sector and you've studied it for some time, you realize that whatever we are saying around this bill, it's a bill for the next 5 years, it's not a bill for the next 20. The construction and research sector requires a bill for the next 20 years. We must have legislations that history has no parallel. We must have legislations that can take this industry forward. There's consensus in this sector that the current professional regulation is not working. And that's why you have the aspect of building collapses. You have a problem of insistent time and cost overrun projects. On public projects, for instance, all our projects are delaying and over budget. It points to the fact that the current regulation that we have is not effective. So what do we need to do? We need to probably look at what our other jurisdictions are doing. South Africa, for example. That's why we reference this Professor Menya report, because it was commissioned by the sector, professions. And it looked at so many jurisdictions and what is effective. We looked at lawyers' regulations. We looked at the accountants, we looked at the doctors. And if you look at those professions, how they're regulated and compare with the built environment, you will find the problem there. There is more member-driven regulations in those professions than in the built environment. Built environment is effectively government-led and is not working. So what does this bill do? Amidst all this noise and all this research that has been done in the sector, it seeks to entrench that very government-led regulation. Yes, there's no profession that can completely remove government from regulation, but the member-driven regulation will drive the sector forward. If two associations currently can't be effectively regulated by the current board, how will 5 be regulated? That's a good question. And remember, look at the sector. Professionals in the sector is losing a lot of jobs to foreigners. You complained as much. Nearly 85% of our contracts and projects in this country are with foreign contractors and foreign professionals. And if you look at that, it partly is because the sector is not growing professionally. There's nothing much the sector is doing because the people that are mandated under the law for the growth of the professions in the sector are not doing effectively. So that is why we have this problem in this bill. But fundamentally so, and that's why we feel Honorable Tanui needs to go. Because as we speak with you, there are 3 bills in the committee of the housing sector. There are 3 bills in that committee. There's the architectural bill, there's the architect's bill in that sector, there's a quantity surveyors bill in that sector, and there's the project and construction managers bill in that sector. Now we are aware of what happened. Once the people that are currently running professions realize that those bills may go through, they call the committee and tell them scrap off those 3 bills, we'll give you one that puts all of them together and remove one. And then the chair of the committee, who is supposed to be impartial, he becomes the sponsor of this bill. How can that be so? How will he consider the other fundamental bills equally sponsored by members of parliament? So they scrap all those 3 bills that some of them have been published. The architect's bill is published, the quantity surveyor's bill has been published by parliament. But now they put aside and then force down our throat a regulation that is not for the next 10 years or 20 years.